Okay, that breaking news is that we continue to watch a deadly shooting out of East Austin involving an Austin police officer.
Right now, we are getting ready, or in the moments expected, to get an update from police out there. Chief Brian Manley is on the scene. We're expecting to talk with him any moment now. But we want to share with you somebody who was out there, a witness, took some video of the incident that happened, the shooting. We want to warn you, though, it is a bit graphic and a bit disturbing. Okay, well, this appears to be the blurred spot you see there in the screen. That is actually the body of the person who was killed in this. We did not want to show that on TV. You see also what appear to be police officers standing around the person there. We don't know at this point what led to the shooting. We do know the person was killed out there. Police have been out there this entire morning investigating since it happened. We should let you know this is on Tanney Street, which is near Springdale and Airport. It's kind of in that area between the two, in a neighborhood there. We also heard earlier, could hear actually family members or somebody, at least somebody that appears to have known the victim out there. They seemed extremely distraught at that time. Chief Brian Manley is now approaching the reporters out there, so we'll want to go and, well, he's going to be a couple of minutes, I should say, at least until he gets there. He's making his way there. You see him there with the gray hair on the left side of your screen.
As he walks up, though, to our shot, we can tell you from Austin Travis County EMS that the call came in around 4:48 this morning, and when they responded, they found about a 50-year-old man who was dead at the scene. No officers were injured in this deadly shooting. So as Interim Police Chief Brian Manley and our Chris Davis right there mics him up with this microphone, we are going to listen into what he has to say. Right there to the right of him is one of the interim city managers, the assistant city manager. Behind him is Assistant Chief Frank Dixon, and then also to the right of the chief is the interim police monitor, that is Farrah Muscaden as well. And so they have just finished up a briefing, and now the chief will explain what he can tell us as the situation continues to unfold this hour, of a man in his 50s, according to Austin Travis County EMS, who was shot and killed by one of the police officers here.
All right. Good. Hold on, we got one more getting ready here.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. All right. Good morning. Thank you all for coming out. I want to give you a briefing on an incident that had occurred here earlier this morning. First, I want to introduce a couple of the people that we have here. Ray Ariano, the Assistant City Manager. I have Farrah Muscaden, the current police monitor. I've got Margaret Moore, the District Attorney, and then members of the command staff and executive team from APD are here with me as well. Earlier this morning at 4:18 a.m., the Austin Police Department received a call for the 4800 block of Tanney involving a disturbance. The caller reported that he had just killed his father and his brother, and that he had taken a shower, and that when we arrived we would find the bodies and the murder weapon inside the residence. That was the call that the officers were initially responding to at 4:18 a.m. Officers arrived on scene 5 minutes later and began trying to work through the situation. We had several officers arrive and made contact with the subject that made the call here in the street. Initially, the officers were many houses down communicating with this subject over their PA system. What is captured on the video is multiple commands and conversations telling him that we did not want to have anybody get hurt here today. We can hear commands being given to please drop the weapon, please drop the pickaxe, multiple attempts to get him to drop a weapon. We then had officers put together a plan to approach this subject after speaking to him for 10 or so minutes, to move a little bit closer, again, to try and resolve this peacefully, again, with multiple commands being given about dropping the weapon and dropping the pickaxe. The officers moved forward, and they were again talking to him. They're calling him by name and again asking him to drop the weapon, telling him nobody had to get hurt today. Officers at some point then deployed a less lethal munition on this subject, and as he approached the house. Officers followed up on the suspect, and what can be seen on video is, again, while giving multiple commands, they used less lethal impact munitions. The subject can be seen with what appears to be a chair in his hand, and he is actually attempting to block the rounds that these officers are firing, these less lethal rounds. So multiple less lethal rounds were fired, and it appears as though we attempted to use a taser, again, all in an attempt to defuse the situation. And then what we see happen is the subject raises the pickaxe and comes at the officers in a rapid pace, and officers fired at the suspect, and he then goes down in the driveway, at which point our officers moved in and secured him and immediately called in for medical assistance at that time. The suspect has been pronounced deceased from this incident this morning, and the investigation is ongoing at this time. What we do know is this suspect is a 46-year-old Hispanic male. We had 5 officers that were involved in firing their weapons here this morning, and they are all going to be placed on administrative duty, as is our standard practice. We also had 3 officers that attempted to resolve this through the use of less lethal munitions, those being the less lethal impact rounds along with the taser, and we will handle those officers the same way at this time and have them on administrative duty while we work through the initial part of this investigation. I do want to say that my heart goes out, the department's heart, the city's heart goes out to this family. I've had the opportunity to, again, view the videos and look at the attempts these officers made to resolve this today. But when we respond to an incident like this, and not knowing what had happened in that house and whether we needed to get in that house to render medical aid as well, there was a need to get in and make sure that there had not been anyone harmed. And in fact, there was not anybody harmed inside that residence when we were able to get in the residence to ensure no one needed medical attention inside. We have also found a note that is affixed to one of the doors to this residence that, based on the content of that note, appears to be a suicide note. So that's where we're at in this investigation. We're in the very early stages. We've got multiple investigations going on. The police department is conducting our internal affairs investigation to determine if the actions here today were compliant with our departmental policies. And then our special investigations unit, along with the district attorney's office, is conducting a criminal review of this incident as well. And as I've mentioned, Ms. Muscadine, the police monitor, is here as well, overseeing the operation. So the 5 officers that were involved in this incident, 3 of them have been with the department for 1 year. One of the officers has been with us 6 years, and one of the officers has been with us less than a year. He's our new officer for us. So at this time, I will open it up for questions. However, given that we are in the preliminary stages, there's not a lot more that we can put out at this time.
Just to be clear, it's 8 officers total who are now on leave, 5 involved with the shooting, 3 involved with the less lethal rounds.
Yes, that is correct.
When he called reporting that he killed his father, who was the other person he said?
The reporter called, the person that called in stated that he had killed his father and his brother.
But that was false.
Correct. There was nobody. Once we were able to safely get into the residence, we did not find anyone inside the residence that had been harmed.
There were some people behind the yellow tape just mentioning that this man was mentally unstable. Were there any signs of that as y'all dealt with him, that there was anything mentally wrong with him as y'all dealt with him?
Well, that's going to be part of the ongoing investigation, and that'll be some of the issues that will come up as we look into the incident here today, as well as any past interactions we've had with him.
Have you been called to that residence before for any other incidents?
I don't have that information here right now.
You said the officers were using his name when they were talking to him. Does that indicate some sort of prior knowledge of who this person was?
Well, it's apparent that the officers at least had a name they were using to call him. Whether that was a name he gave when he called 911 this morning or not, I don't know. But again, we try to, in de-escalating these situations, we try and build that relationship, and by using his name and trying to build a relationship to hopefully come to a successful resolution.
How long between when officers arrived and the shots were fired?
The first officer arrived on scene 25 minutes before the shots were fired. So we were here for a little while before the shots were fired.
Last question. When officers were trying to negotiate before they shot, was the man outside or inside of
This entire incident occurred outside the house from the officers when they encountered him here on the street, and then when they approached and again tried to get him to drop the weapon and to be able to safely get him into custody so we could get into that residence to see if there were anyone in need of medical attention. Everything occurred outside.
How did you realize it was the same man?
Well, that's part of the investigation. We believe he is the same person based on everything we have right now. Thank you.
What you said, reviewing video, was it body cam video?
Yes, there is both body cam video.
So a lot of new information coming out of that briefing there from Police Chief Brian Manley. The thing that sticks out most off the top is that the person had called saying they'd killed their father and brother, but that wasn't true.
Right.
Police went inside and found nothing there. And it also made it sound, I noticed the police chief mentioned that the person had a pickaxe, but there were a couple times where the chief mentioned drop the pickaxe, drop the weapon, which could leave open the option that there was another weapon, but it sounded like towards the end, he wrapped that up that it was just the pickaxe that the man was wielding.
And they negotiated for 25 minutes with this man before firing their weapons. Negotiated with him. They used, looks like a taser and some non-lethal weapons, some tools on this man as well, Hispanic man in his 40s. And in the end, they say when he attacked the police officers with that axe, that is when the 5 police officers fired their weapons. And now those police officers are on administrative duty pending the investigation and the outcome. The police monitor is out there this morning as well. We're going to hopefully talk to her for her role in this entire investigation. But now we have police officers who are basically taken off of the force while this investigation continues. And this, of course, goes on top of the other officer-involved shootings that we have had so far this year.